Okay, guys, we got a bit more news here on immigration. This time, not focusing on Dover or the Napier and Penally camps. We are instead talking about it in general because, as most of you likely know and expected, the immigration figures that are given to the public by the government are flat wrong, and not by a small margin either. Apparently, Oxford Uni is saying that almost 1.2 million people have appeared out of thin air. Now, I would question how that is even possible, but as I've said for many years now, the immigration numbers given to us are flat wrong, underestimated by ridiculous amounts. If they say there's 1 million here, I am betting it's closer to 10 million at this point. Obviously, when it comes to immigration, the government only like telling you the good news, using cherry-picked figures to claim they are doing what you want. What they won't tell you is how many they expect are actually here without the government knowing how many have come in or anything like that. I mean, shit, give it a few weeks, Biden will tell Boris to open the UK borders to the world, just like he has done in America. And knowing Boris, he will do it while claiming to be taking back control on immigration. A bit like he has with the boats floating over from war-torn France, with the refugees on it. Yet none of them actually seem to be women or children, the normal refugees you find. But if this report is true, then the government not only has no idea who is here, who is not, who comes and who goes, but also how many kids they are having and who is having them, because it's the only explanation for the country farting out 1.25 million extra people, if these figures are even close to right, of course. Now, it really wouldn't surprise me if they are, given consecutive governments from both sides have intentionally done this over many decades. And in fact, I wouldn't be surprised at this point if the government has imported 1.2 million more people during the multiple lockdowns that they have placed on us. It might be unlikely still, but it is certainly possible. Now, the 2021 census should be started in May, which I am sure will be a complete clusterfuck for the Tory government. 10 years of failing to stop immigration will be plain for all to see then, and it will be all on them. Because we're not going to be talking about EU immigration there, we're going to be talking about outside the EU, which was always in their control. Of course, they will try to worm out of it, and people will run damage control for them, but I know that is bollocks, and so will anyone with half a brain cell. But anyway, Breitbart have picked up on this report from Oxford Uni, so let's quickly check that out before I end up waffling on for too long. Now, before we get into that, remember guys to follow me over on Odyssey. The link is down in the video description. It is a YouTube alternative that I'm going to start putting effort into. But the Breitbart article headlines report UK flying blind on migration numbers as extra 1.25 million people appear in the stats. It says the British government is flying blind on immigration, suggests a new report from the University of Oxford, with an extra 1.25 million people having appeared in the statistics without a reasonable explanation. The ancient university's Migration Observatory found that Labour Force survey data suggests a fall in the UK migration population of almost 900,000 in 2020, but accompanied by an implausible rise in the UK-born population of some 1.25 million, according to The Telegraph. It goes on, noting significant changes in the way that the state has attempted to gather statistics as a result of the coronavirus pandemic. The observatory hinted that the figures which come out as Boris Johnson's administration is attempting to roll out a new post-Brexit immigration system are no longer reliable. What do you mean, no longer reliable? I'll tell you something now, they haven't been reliable for many fucking years. 20, 30, 40, maybe even 50 years at this point. Who knows how long it's been going on. It says, we don't know who's arriving or leaving, who's here or where they are, the observatory said when sharing its findings on social media. Once again, not surprised by that in the fucking slightest. It said this raises some serious challenges for post-COVID planning. There is absolutely massive uncertainty about what is going on with migration at the moment because all data sources we normally use have been hugely disrupted, added Migration Observatory Director Madeline Sumption in comments to The Telegraph. This has left us flying blind just as the UK is introducing a new immigration system and will make it more difficult to understand the impacts of new policies, she added. Which is obviously just a load of bollocks at the end of the day. The only policy impact that matters is that you send the people who shouldn't be here back. End of fucking story. No other policy or anything else like that matters, that is the only thing. At the end of the day, the government has shit all over our human rights for the past year so they can shit over the human rights of people who have no right to be here. Or at least you would think they should. But of course, this is the Tory government, a bit like Labour, they are never going to do that. It goes on, speaking to Breitbart London, the Migration Watch UK think tank agreed that the University of Oxford's report rightly points to the absence of reliable statistics because of COVID and makes some debatable, if reasonable, assumptions. Obviously they're saying the figures are not 100%, so take from that what you will. It could be more, it could be less. Me being a bit pessimistic on this subject, I would probably suggest it's a fuckload more. It goes on, the fact is the government have little idea what is going on, said Alf Mehmet, the chairman of the Migration Skeptic Group. Despite this, and as we have pointed out, the doors have been thrown open with a weak points-based system and an open-ended offer to 5.4 million Hong Kongers to come and settle, Mehmet accused. Which, let's be honest, is not really accusing, this is all facts at the moment. The government has opened the doors to Hong Kongers, and of course the points-based system has been weakened since he first spoke about it. I have actually covered this in a video. Now, I've obviously got no problem with the people of Hong Kong, and let's be honest, they're a lot better than the people we've got floating over here at the moment, but still, this country doesn't have the fucking space. Let's be honest, we can't house every single person that lives here. How many Brits are living on the streets as we speak? The government ain't going to be sorting that out anytime soon, so I really don't see how they're going to do that. We'll have to wait and see what actually happens with it. It goes on, while the Johnson administration has dropped the Tory pledge to cut net migration from the hundreds of thousands to the tens of thousands, first made by David Cameron ahead of the 2010 general election, but never realised, and according to Cameron Lieutenant George Osborne, never offered sincerely, it did commit to an overall decrease in the migration influx, if vaguely. Because obviously, Boris Johnson's a cuck, and we know that pretty piss poor Patel is literally that, pretty fucking piss poor. Though once again, for a bit of balance, apparently she is bringing forward her new immigration system in the next 2 weeks. She tweeted about it the other day. We will have to wait and see what that actually says, but I won't be expecting too much. She's been a complete letdown from start to finish, I'm sure most of you would agree. And the ones who don't agree with me on that probably just want to get their end away with her, if you ask me. I've seen the comments from a few of you randy dogs. It finishes up here with, that has not appeared to be on the cards in recent months. With non-EU immigration, the only type of legal immigration the government could largely control, prior to the end of the Brexit transition rising significantly, illegal immigration by boat at record levels and deportation down by a massive 79%. Proving exactly what I just said, that Priti Patel's name should now be Pretty Piss Poor Patel. I won't be calling her anything different. But I would say if any of this is true, it shows that Boris Johnson and the Tory party are just pissing in your pockets and telling you it's raining. We'll take back control on immigration and all this bollocks when, as you can see by the figures, that has not happened. Deportations have dropped by 79% despite the fact that planes would be going freely, and let's be honest, many people have been coming and going to the UK on these planes while we've all been locked in our homes. It's not like they couldn't do it, let's be honest. Obviously, some of them have been stopped by the lefty tosspot lawyers that we've dealt with a few times. But in general, pretty piss poor Patel, like I said, has been pretty piss poor. Same as Boris Johnson and the Tory government in general.
There is a pattern consistent throughout history of oppressed people turning on the oppressors. Slaves against their owners, the peasantry against the feudal barons, colonies, Mr. Verhofstadt, against their empires. And that is why Britain is leaving. And it doesn't matter which language you use, we are going, and we are glad to be going. We're off.